This episode is brought to you by Atlassian. Atlassian makes the team collaboration software that powers enterprise businesses around the world, including over 80% of the Fortune 500. With Atlassian's AI-powered software like Jira, Confluence, and Loom, you'll have more time to do the work that matters. In fact, Atlassian customers experience a 25% reduction in project duration per year. Unleash the potential of your team at Atlassian.com. Atlassian.
How do stop losses work on Kraken? Let's say I have a birthday party on Wednesday night, but an important meeting Thursday morning. So Sensible Me pre-books a taxi for 10 p.m. with alerts. Voila! I won't be getting carried away and staying out till 2. That's stop loss orders on Kraken, an easy way to plan ahead. Go to Kraken.com and see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Interactive Inc., PWI, DBA Kraken. View PWI's disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast today. And I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Sandy Pollack, coming from Canada. And she is going to talk to us all about wealth management, business owners, legacy planning. She's got a lot of experience and I'm really happy to have her on the show. So Sandy, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. It is a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so you have a lot of extensive experience and your husband's a physician as well. So talk about your journey and we'll dive right into the questions. I'm really excited.
I'm originally from Montreal and have a financial advisory practice where we focus on family business transition as well as estate planning. We work solely with entrepreneurs and self-employed professionals. And in the last 2 years, I actually wrote a book called Don't Leave a Mess, How to Disaster-Proof Your Family Legacy, which unpacks in a very cheeky way, peppered with lots of stories, as well as at the end of each chapter, questions and exercises to help the reader plan their own estate or financial independence journey so that they don't leave a mess for the people in their lives that are really important. And I've been doing this for over 30 years. My husband is an ophthalmologist. My brother-in-law is a gastroenterologist. I'm very familiar with physicians. I'm very familiar with first, second, and third generation family businesses. And I'm in this industry because I'm tired of estate litigation. I'm tired of seeing families fight over money when in actual fact, money should be something that goes beyond the dollars and cents. And so I believe that having intentional conversations based on values and not valuables is really the key to ensuring financial independence, financial security, as well as family legacy.
Interesting. That's a really great, because you're speaking to a large cohort of the audience. We have solo practitioners, we have W2 hospital employees, lawyers, all interested in what you have to say. So one of the first questions, there's this misperception of doctors as rich. And so distinguish the difference between income versus wealth management. You talk about these three different buckets and how it requires different skill sets.
Well, there's a book I read, I can't remember the name of it. And one of the premises were, are you rich or are you wealthy? And rich can be lifestyle. Wealthy would really be money working for you, because essentially there's two sources of income, either you at work or money at work. And what often happens is that if we spend our lives just working and not actually shaving a little bit off the top to accumulate wealth, you end up never being wealthy, but being rich until your gravy train stops. And so I think that building wealth and managing wealth are not the same thing. And I think that building wealth starts with the save first, live within your means. And particularly for professionals, I've told a number of my doctor clients that when they go into the doctor's lounge to put on their little ear pods, do not look in the parking lot and focus on their own lives, their own families, and their own needs, and to not get influenced by the noise, the outside noise, because people may look wealthy, but in actual fact, we do not know what debt is behind the stuff. And I think that really looking at one's values, one's relationship with money, one's history, how we grew up, is really integral to creating a life of meaning with financial security and with financial independence. So I'm not sure, Chris, if that answers your question, but I think you have to peel back a little bit of the onion skin and understand what wealth actually is.
Yeah, that's a huge distinction. Money, you talk about us working for money versus money working for you and having different components of time and location, financial freedom. You also mentioned in your earlier introduction that when the wealth management process and people pass on and leave a financial mess. Talk about what types of financial messes that heirs can possibly inherit if they're not properly managed beforehand.
I think it all starts off with our relationship with money. So let's go back in time to how did we grow up? Did our parents talk about money? Did we come from wealth? Did they not talk about it? It was much easier for parents. There was an era where, as difficult as it was, would prefer to have a sex talk with their children than talk about money. I don't know why, but seems to be that way. And yet, if you look at values, and we start off our meetings with our clients to understand what their relationship is with money, because everyone has a money script. And what that means is, how do we look at it? So is money a good thing, a bad thing? What does it mean? Often they'll say it means financial security. And we try to dig a little deeper. What does financial security mean to you and why is it important? Often they say we want to have a nice home. We want education for our kids. That's important to us. We want to know that if we're not around, that our children can have the opportunities that perhaps we didn't have or more opportunities. We want to, these are a few answers that I have. Travel is really important. Having meaningful moments with our kids, creating experience, having the choice of working at some juncture, knowing that if I'm sick, that I don't have to worry about mortgage payments and having that flow of income. So things like having the appropriate disability insurance, particularly for professionals, because they only have, as one client said to me, Sandy, I only have, how did he put it? I only have one fiddle. And that's what I do. And if that fiddle gets broken, I got to know that there's still music happening to pay my mortgage and my kids' education and food on the table. So understanding money scripts is important because when you realize that money provides more than just stuff, and it's the other things that are essential, it's easier to say, okay, so how do we get there? And what are you doing now that reflects those values? Or what money scripts do you have that are unhealthy, such as spending? And maybe that spending is a result of something that happened in childhood, or spending is a pressure or an insecurity. And it's almost like we become social workers for the affluent or social workers for people that make a significant amount of income because they have to give themselves the opportunity to realize that when they go from earning nothing, particularly physicians and dentists and other professionals and lawyers, to all of a sudden having this big jump, that they still have to pay taxes, that they still have to save, that they don't have to change their lifestyle overnight from rags to riches. And this can be a gradual transition so that they've set money aside for their own retirement, which I hate that word. I call it more financial independence. And I think that understanding your relationship with money is key. Once you understand that, then it's understanding how you're spending it and what's important, because a lot of people do not take the time to look at where their cash is going, where their expenses are going. And there's a lot of needless expenses that they don't even know exist. And once they create that awareness, it's incredible how if they can save first and spend the rest later, how that money can build. And it's a snowball effect. And the first 100,000, the first 500,000, the first million is the hardest. And then, because 10% on $100 is $10. 10% on $1,000 is $100, right? But think about 10% on 10 million, that's $1 million, right? So the compounding effect that people don't understand, because setting money aside is the most boring thing possible. Who wants to think about it? So if you can somehow or another commit yourself to setting money aside early, getting rid of debt. And there's two types of debt. There's deductible debt and non-deductible debt. But that non-deductible debt, getting rid of it from a psychological point of view, that instills clarity and confidence. so that people can get on the right, I'll call it the freeway, and you have off ramps and on ramps. Well, getting on the on ramp to ensuring financial security and independence. So I think it starts with that more than anything else, and then understanding how to live within your means, which is very integral.
Yeah. The other, so what's interesting is there's individual legacy-based planning, which you help, and we'll talk about that. So your approach to values-based legacy planning in family and succession strategy, speak on that a little bit.
That's interesting because it astounds me the number of North Americans that don't have wills. Very simple. And if you don't, and whenever I ask anyone whether they're professional or in business, why they went into business, because they didn't want anyone to tell them what to do. And yet they will not prepare. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, it's the only time I guarantee things to our clients. I guarantee them that they will die. The question is, I don't know when. If you are an independent thinker and you don't like people telling you what to do, then it goes without saying that having your will in place is paramount. Because if not, the government decides, and I've yet to see the government, whether it's Canadian or North American, ever do things for the benefit of taxpayers. All right. If anything, my clients tell me, Sandy, this is what I want. I want you to take care of my family first. That's what I want. That's my financial goal. If I owe anybody money, pay them off. And last, if I owe taxes, pay taxes. Guess what? In the United States of America and Canada, it goes this way. Government's first in line, creditors are second, and hopefully there's something left over. And if so, it'll go to your family. So if you don't have a will, all right, that is one of the big disasters that happens, is people think that, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. And when's the best time to plant a tree? That was yesterday. It was probably 20 years ago. Will planning is essential. So that's number one. Number two is once you think about and you've come to grips with, yes, it's better to be proactive because I can't be reactive when I'm dead. The damage is done. The mess is, if you like lawyer and like to pay lots of lawyer fees, then don't do anything because they will help you and they get paid by the hour versus getting paid by results, for results. So that's number one. Number two is if someone has accumulated a significant amount of wealth and there's excess wealth, in other words, they have enough for them, it's really important that they understand that there may be some tax obligations that they have to plan for, but also have they shared the contents of their wills with their family? It astounds me how many people we have clients that have accumulated anywhere from $100 to $300 million or more of wealth, and they haven't shared. Their kids don't know what they're worth. They're millionaire next door types. They're living in nice neighborhoods. They're quiet accumulators of wealth. And then they leave it all to their kids, and their kids are not prepared. And the kids don't know the story behind the wealth. The kids don't understand the values, the sacrifices. And it has been shown that the more a wealth holder can share the stories, the challenges, the failures, and the purpose of the wealth that was built, the less chance there is of the children blowing it, conflict in the family. There'll be less chance for estate litigation. So I would say that to really do this intentionally is one, you got to know what you have. And that's the other thing. I deal with many successful entrepreneurs that didn't even realize they were worth what they were worth. And then they go, oh my God, that's not me. And so they feel this sense of discomfort on this, and there's a responsibility on what you're going to do with it and how you do it in a way that considers discernment, which is now it's time to communicate with your family members. Not that, look, I have $10 million or I have $100 million of net worth and I'm going to leave it all to you because, of course, people are saying, will this be a disincentive? If you have been a parent that teaches your child about working hard and setting aside money, being part of a community, giving to charity, and they are launched in their 20s and 30s and 40s, they're not going to blow it, right? But if you haven't lived those values, then the chances are they're not prepared. And then it's your responsibility to prepare them. and whether it's with other advisors, because it doesn't take one person, it will take a team of advisors to help you, one, understand what you've built, the purpose of it, and what you want to see. But also, how can we slowly, just drip, like an IV drip, slowly help our children become self-reliant and become responsible, so that if we want to leave them a legacy because we have our wills done, that we start those conversations. And it's very difficult. And I think that sometimes you need advisors to help you bring it up in a way that is not confrontational or shooting all over your kids. You should do this, you should do that, but in a way that is aspirational and opens up the doors of communication in a meaningful way.
Yeah. And adding on to that, a lot of the audience are business owners. They own their practice, or they're self-employed, small business. So what's your process for helping clients with business succession planning and key elements ensuring a smooth transition between generations or leadership teams?
That, my friend, is a process. So I think that the initial concept of family business transition, or we'll call it family business continuity, starts with discovery. And so our process is we sit down with our clients and we get them to unpack how they started in their business, where their business is at in terms of performance, what the relational aspects are of the family, because you might have family members that are active in the business and other family members that are not, where they see some things that are keeping them awake at night so that they can unpack that. And I think discovery leads our clients to clarity as to what is it that they want to achieve. We have a number of clients that are in business where you have some children that are active and some that are not, and then they want things to be fair and equal, right? So in order for them to be fair and equal, let's discuss what that is, because you can own shares in a business and be working in a business. And sometimes you can own shares and not be working in the business, but you have to understand that it takes things like family business governance. What are the rules for an owner? What's the rules of an employee in terms of compensation? So family governance is a key aspect. What's the estate? What's the legacy? And also having family meetings. So we do a lot of that in our discovery process. But if you don't have the rules, if you don't understand initially what the business owner wants and why, there's a whole process, and it takes a team of advisors. And I think it's also being respectful that every family is part of a system. And that system is relationships. And that could be husband-wife, that could be partner, that could be children. Are you firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn? Are there children with special needs like disabilities or mental health issues? And all that has to be uncovered in discovery to really understand what it is the client wants to accomplish and how can we deal with those special factors, because every family is unique and their familyness and their family dynamics are unique. So when we're talking family business, particularly family business succession, it's one, does the owner have enough for their own financial security and independence? And then what are the family dynamics? And then also, are the kids ready? Have you mentored your children? Because it could be that you have children working in a family business that aren't in a leadership position, right? Does that mean bringing in non-family members to lead the business? Does that mean bringing in coaches that your child needs to pursue other educational components in order for them to be at the helm? There's a lot of things like that have to be considered. And also don't forget that rising gen is under the shadow of a very successful person. And more often than not, the owner of a business doesn't appreciate the fact that it's not easy being a child of a successful entrepreneur. It carries with it a tremendous amount of weight. And until that person who wants to carry, or let's say take that baton to the next generation, appreciates and understands that, and has to take a little bit of ownership to prepare that next generation, then you end up with a lot of disasters. So it goes both ways, is discovery, understanding what they want, why, understanding family governance and the role that it plays. Is there enough for the owner? And also opening up the lines of communication among the different generations so that everybody is rowing in the same direction and is aspiring to the same goals, which is family harmony, right? Business continuity and intentional legacy.
Yeah. A follow-up question I have for you is what or how common is it for you to see I love the TV series Succession but how common is it for you to see situations where you've got the successful head and he's got a bunch of kids and some of the kids are like they want to do well and then there's sometimes the black sheep and how often do you see family conflict, misalignment of values, and what's your advice to families that have this when they have to leave their inheritance to their heirs?
I'm just letting that digest a bit because I think Succession does not really portray the real family business. I'm going to tell you right now that there are a lot of family businesses out there where the parents have good relationships with their children. And if they don't, sometimes it's a result of poor parenting, and the father or mother or both have to take ownership in that. So I would say that conflict is inevitable. Let's go for dinner tonight, and one person wants to go for Italian and another person wants to go for, I don't know, Greek. Okay? So there's a conflict there. So how are we going to resolve that? Does that mean that we're not going out for dinner if it's not my restaurant? No. It's the same thing in family businesses. Maybe tonight we'll do Italian and next week we'll go for Greek food, right? It's the same thing in family business. Will we harvest our profits or will we put them in or retain them and reinvest them? It's not a question of either or, it's a question of both. And when we're talking family business, and it's about paradox. And there's many paradoxes in family businesses, right? Do we leave it all to our children? Do we sell it? Do our children have to manage it, or can we hire outside people? And I think that the biggest challenge for family businesses today is the idea of providing a team of advisors that can help foster family communication, that can help foster what I would call shared values and shared direction, so that you don't have those nightmares of succession where it's based on ego, power, and control. And quite often, Chris, I'll tell you, I sit down with 65 and 70-year-old men and I say, what do you really want for your kids? Are you willing to let go? And a lot of times, the reason why they're not willing to let go is because of a sense of identity. They think that, oh my God, well, what will happen to me? I'm connected. I'm a part of the community. I'm well regarded. I'm engaged. And they think that if they pass the business on to the next generation, they'll lose all that, which is not the case. There are many different ways that you can transition a business without putting the founder in an old folks home or disconnecting him from the business. You can have a board of directors because there's so much wisdom and so much experience that the founder has that the next generations require. But if you don't set up a structure and you don't set up the appropriate systems, you're going to end up with a succession on TV issue. And I think that there are more families out there today that are willing to open up those avenues. And you have to look at a family business and all the family members and the people that they employ as going on a freeway. And they're heading in a direction. And you're going to have people that go on the ramps and people that go off the ramps. You might have family members that go on and family members that go off. And you might have special professionals that you require, a family therapist, a communications expert, a conflict management expert. And if you can equip many generations with the appropriate tools to communicate, to look at a vision, to realize that they do have shared values instead of everything that they don't have in common when they actually have more than they think, I think that you're on the way to a successful family business transition than everything that we hear on TV. I really believe that.
Yeah. How can people find out more about you and learn about your services and reach out to you?
They can reach out to me on trimaranadvisory.com, but I would say don't reach out to me. I really want to encourage my book, Don't Leave a Mess, because that to me is a very easy read. We have it in Audible. You can get it on Amazon, Audible, ebooks, and it's a very easy way. It's like a speakeasy book peppered with many stories of client situations. Of course, we've changed certain things, but ranging from, estate thinking to stewardship and wealth. And that's for a multi-generational business governance. What is it? charitable giving, having a will, why, what do you need to consider? And I think that would be the first stop is just www.don'tleaveamess.ca. And there's podcast interviews and writings that I've done, articles. But I would say that if you go on Amazon and you Google "Don't Leave a Mess," that would be the first step to thinking about what you've built and how do I deal with transitioning it in a way that doesn't become a ticking time bomb for the people in my world that are so important, which is loved ones.
Mm. Yeah, it was a fantastic discussion, and I really love your passion. And for the audience, be sure to check out the socials that we can follow. And thanks so much for a wonderful conversation.
It has been a real pleasure, Chris. And if there's one thing that you could leave your listeners with, is that communication. People say they communicate, but you'd be astounded. Just think of a topic, think of a value, and throw it out there in a dinner conversation, and people will be astounded by how that brings families together. So thank you. It has been a delight.
Yeah, my pleasure.